Alright, so let's go over using the blend tool. The blend tool is very similar to using the gradient tool or the gradient panel, but one of the key differences with the blend tool, you can not only blend colors together, but you can actually blend objects and paths in a repeated fashion. And so it allows you to create different blends either between paths or shapes. So you can produce either a smooth blend, you can produce a blend with specified steps, or a specified distance between the blend. So let's kind of go over what that all means. We're going to start by trying to blend between lined paths or stroked paths. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a path. So that's already been done. And one of the rules is when you create the path, make sure that you also modify the path how you want it to be. So in this case, I set it to this width profile 4. So now that we've created that path, step 2 is we need to copy and move that path. Okay, so in this case, I want to take this, I'm going to hold down on my Alt key, and I'm going to move it way over here, okay, and release. Now that we have those two paths made, now we can use the blend tool. The blend tool is found right over here, got this symbol, or we can hit the W key. Okay, the first thing it wants you to do is find the first object to start the blend. So as I hover over this object, I get a little asterisk letting me know that this is going to be my first object for the blend. So I'll click once, okay, and it doesn't really do anything after you click, which I find kind of annoying. But if I come over to this next object and hover over it, you're going to see I'm getting a plus sign. So it's logged that this is my first object, and now it's logging that, hey, you want to add this to the blend. So you want it to blend from here to here. So if I click again, you're going to get some kind of blend. It's all dependent on how we set this blend. So let's go ahead and go over that. So now that I have that blend made, if I go back into the toolbar and find the blend tool and I double click, now I have what are called blending options. We can also find that through the object panel. We can go object, blend, and find the blend options. So right now, the computer is interpreting this as a smooth color between the path. So this is its definition of smooth color. We could change this. We could do specified steps. So right now there's 33 steps in between these two paths. If I brought that down to 20, check the preview, we can see that reduces the amount. We can even do a specified distance. So that's the distance between each one of these. So right now it's randomly at 0.06. I'm going to try 0.2 and preview that, see how that looks. Maybe I'll try 0.25. So we can even do distance. We can also change the orientation along the path. So right now it's orientating to the page, but we can also choose to have it orient to the path, and we'll show that with another one. So I'll click OK. And now that I have that blend, I can even modify this further by using my white arrow. So I'll use A for the white arrow, and I'll come in here and I'll click on one of these points, and I'll start to drag this down. And you can see the blend changes. It's a live change. So now if I even change the angle, you're going to see the blend will adapt to that new angle that I put it at. So I could do something more extreme like this. I could even click the segment and change the position, bring this closer, and you can see since we're using specified distance, it is reducing the amount because it's trying to keep a certain distance between the segments. The blend actually is similar to putting an effect on this. So if I choose my black arrow and I click on this, you can see it's only giving me the path for this path and this path, or it's only selecting the path. And all of this is similar to an effect. If I wanted to actually come in here and start to individually modify these, I'd have to go to Object and expand Appearance in order to do that. Even after I expand the appearance, I have to go one step further and do Object and expand again, and then it will ask, do you want to expand the object and then also fill the object? I'll just click OK. And now I have these actual individual shapes I can modify. They are grouped, so I'll have to ungroup them. But now I can come in here. Now I have individual shapes that were part of this. Let's try it again. Let's blend this curved line. So I'll choose this path, okay, make a copy of it, and I'll pull it right over here. And I'll go to my blend tool, so the W key. I'll click once on here, move over to this side, and click once on here. It gives me a blend. This time I'll go into Object, Blend, and I'll go to my blend options. And let's choose specified steps. Let's do 10 steps between these. and I'll do align to the path and then click OK. Now I'll use my white arrow, and since these have a control handle associated with them, play around with moving around that control handle. You can see that we can have one side be an extreme angle. So in this case, we'll try something like this. And then as it moves towards this one, it actually relaxes a little bit, becomes less extreme. So that's the other really cool thing about this tool, is it is able to interpret from one extreme or different kind of path direction to a whole new one. So just beware that when you are modifying these, that the stroke weight tends to kind of discombobulate the blend. So I'm going ahead and I'm trying to take down the stroke weight on this one. But after I do that, you can see all these other ones have become kind of misinterpreted. So you got to be careful when you're modifying these. All right, so let's go down here. Let's try another way of using the blend tool, and this involves putting the blend on a spine or making it follow its own individual path. So in order to do this, there's quite a few steps involved, but in the very end you can create a blend that looks like this hand-drawn or pen style shading where we're using kind of hatched lines to render this object. So let's go ahead and give this a try. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create two paths, one here and one here. So I'm going to use my pen tool and I'll create this first path right up here. And once I'm done, I'll hit the command key and click, and I'll go ahead and choose that path. And let's go ahead and put a profile on it. So I'm going to use width profile 5, and I'll increase the stroke weight to about 7 or 8. So it's easier to see. Now that I have that made, I'm going to make a copy of it. So I'll hold down on my Alt key and I'll pull it down over here. And now I'll use my white arrow. So A for the white arrow. And now I'll come in and I will adjust this, kind of match the contours of this shape. Now I'm not going to spend too much time, because you're going to find as you apply your blend, it's actually going to throw these segments around and you're going to spend some time adjusting that. But we'll just get kind of close. So we have a line here that we've made a copy from this one. So now it says apply the blend and adjust the sizes. So I'll hit W for my blend tool. I'll click once here, and you can see it applied a blend. I'll go ahead and double click on the blend tool to get my blend tool options. And let's do a specified distance for this. Let's do 0.35, see how that looks. So specified distance 0.35, and we want to make sure our orientation is aligning to the path. I'll hit A for my white arrow. Now that we have that, I like the blend, but I want it to follow the contours of this shape. Step 3 is we need to create a new path that will become the framework or the spine that this blend will follow. So I'll hit P for my pen tool again, and now I'll just actually create a whole new path that is going to be where the blend follows. Now, just a word of warning, try to keep it to only 2 points. 3 maximum, because the computer gets very discombobulated when you use too many points and too many control handles on a spine. I'm going to click and drag from here, and I'm going to do a pretty big control or direction handle that comes out over to here, and then I'll come over here to the bottom and finish it. And I'm looking at that edge, just trying to match it up roughly, and that's about good. Okay, I'll do command click when I'm done. Okay, step 4, we need to select both the new path and the blend. So V for my black arrow, I'll select the path, hold down the shift key, and select the blend. So now with those both selected, I'll go up to Object, Blend, and Replace Spine. And now you can see it put that blend along that path. Start by adjusting some of the ends of this segment. Remember to click once and then click again to make sure you're just adjusting one point. This one here, I'll actually pull that one in. And because it's a specified distance, as I pull it in, I'm going to keep those apart. Now, I think the spine is just moving out too much. So if I hover on the inside, I can actually click on that spine, and now I can start to adjust the control handles on just the spine. So I can start to move that in. Hover inside, click, and find that control handle. It's looking pretty good. Maybe I'll adjust this one to come down a little bit more. And again, this just takes a little bit of practice and some time, but for some people this becomes a huge part of their workflow, especially if you work in a more kind of illustrative style. So I'm adjusting the spine now, just lining that up and that looks pretty good. Okay, when I'm done, I'll click. All right, so not bad. So that is using the blend tool with line segments. Let's try one more way of using the blend tool. And this is what I was discussing about how the blend tool is very similar to the gradient tool. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice blending between objects. So these can be standard polygons or regular objects like the ones we have here, or they can be these more abstract shapes. And these abstract shapes are going to be the basis for this gradient here. So here's how this tool works. It's going to take the object that is on top of the stacking order, and it'll always blend down the stacking order. So for instance, where we're going to make this star at the very top. So arrange, bring to front, okay, and then let's take this triangle and we'll do arrange and send to back. Then I'll come over here to the blend tool and we'll come over here, and now that we know this one is on top, we'll start by clicking this one first. Let's go ahead and blend to this square. You can see it actually changes the polygon slowly into a square, and then we can actually come over to this triangle here and continue the blend. So it's morphing from a star to a square to a triangle while changing colors at the same time. If I wanted to, I could double click, and let's change this to smooth color and preview that, and then I'll click OK. Actually, let's make sure that we are orienting it to the path and click OK. And now you can see that is how it blends shapes together. Zoom in a little bit more so we can see that. If I use my white arrow, I could actually come in here and start to change this shape, which will affect the blend. So I'll start down here. I'll do object arrange, bring to front. Click the next one here, arrange, bring to front. Click this one here, arrange, bring to front, and then this last one here, arrange and bring to front. So now I know that this is the very top object. It moves all the way down, and then this is the bottom object. Okay, so now that I've ensured that I have my stacking order right, I'm going to go ahead and double click on my blend tool and make sure we're working with smooth color. Okay, and then I'll use my blend tool. I'm going to start here on this first one, click once. I'll move to the next one, click again. You can see we're getting a smooth color transition from here to here. I'll do the next one to here, the next one to here, and then the final one right here. Okay, I'll hit V for my black arrow and click outside. And hey, not bad. This is a pretty nice color blend of a cone shape using the blend tool. Okay, I could come in here and start to adjust these points. Maybe I want this to kind of follow along this path a little bit more. So I could adjust this in the live preview. Remember to click once on the point and then click again to start adjusting it. And there you go. So that's using the blend tool.